All right, so let's dive into some Italian wines.
Okay.
I'm excited about this one because, honestly, the sheer variety of Italian wines, it can be a little intimidating.
Yeah.
Even for someone like me who loves a good glass, over 2,000 great varieties, where do you even begin?
Yeah, that's a good point. Italy's wine landscape is incredibly rich
It is?
and complex, but that's also what makes it so
All
fascinating.
right,
And
well,
luckily, we have Miller and Gerri Nikol's recommendations
yeah.
as our kind of guideposts for this journey. They've curated a selection that showcases both the classics and some hidden gems. Gives us a taste of what Italian winemaking is all about.
Okay, I love that guidepost.
Yeah.
Let's start with Miller's pick.
Yeah.
Montepulciano d'Abruzzo
Okay.
from Cantina Zaccagnini. He raved about its balance, and as someone who's had a few too many mouth-puckering reds in my time, I'm all ears when someone mentions balance. What does that actually mean in terms of taste?
Well, balance in wine refers to the harmony between
Yes.
its different components, the acidity, the tannins, fruitiness, alcohol. In the case of this Montepulciano d'Abruzzo,
Yeah.
Miller is highlighting how the wine's acidity and tannins are well integrated, creating a smooth, pleasurable experience. You won't be overwhelmed by harsh tannins or a sharp acidic bite. Instead, you get this pleasant interplay of flavors that make it a versatile wine for pairing with food.
And Miller called it a steal for the price point.
Absolutely.
Value for money is
Yeah.
always a good thing, right? I'm picturing myself enjoying a glass of this with a hearty pasta dish, maybe overlooking the rolling hills of Abruzzo.
Speaking of Abruzzo, it's worth noting that the region itself plays a significant role in shaping the character of this wine.
Uh,
Abruzzo is known for its rugged landscape and diverse terroir.
okay.
The vineyards are often situated on hillsides or along the Adriatic coast, exposed to ample sunshine and cooling sea breezes. These conditions contribute to the grapes developing vibrant acidity
Interesting.
and a distinct savory quality that you'll find in this Montepulciano.
See, this is what I love about exploring wine. It's like taking a mini vacation to a different place. Okay, on to Jerry's pick, the Gaggia Barbaresco.
Okay.
She called it a masterpiece,
Wow.
which is setting the bar pretty high.
It is. Gaggia Barbaresco is indeed considered a benchmark for Italian wines, particularly those from the Piedmont region.
Right.
And this brings us to the heart of this wine, the Nebbiolo grape.
Okay.
Nebbiolo is known for its high tannins and acidity, which give the wine incredible structure and aging potential.
Mhm.
It's also responsible for the complex aromas and flavors you'll encounter in Barbaresco. Think dark cherries, roses, truffles, leather, even a hint of tar.
Okay, I have to admit, tar isn't usually on my list of desired wine flavors.
Right.
But I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
This wine clearly demands your attention.
it does.
And I'm guessing it's not something you just gulp down with pizza.
No, you're right. This is a wine that rewards contemplation.
Oh, yeah.
Those tannins I mentioned. They provide the backbone for long aging. Over time, those tannins soften, integrating with the other elements of the wine, and the flavors evolve into something truly extraordinary.
So are we talking years, decades? Just how patient do I need to be to experience this masterpiece?
Barbaresco can certainly age gracefully for decades,
Wow.
but it's also enjoyable in its youth. The key is to give it time to breathe, to open up and reveal its complexities.
Okay.
And as for pairings, think rich, savory dishes, roasted meats, game, mushroom sauces, anything that can stand up to those bold tannins and
Yeah.
complement the wine's intricate flavors.
Now, my ears perked up when you mentioned Piedmont.
Okay.
I know it's famous for its wines.
Yeah.
But what is it about Piedmont that makes its wine so special?
Piedmont is a region in northwestern Italy nestled against the Alps. Its climate, a combination of continental and alpine influences, is ideal for Nebbiolo. The region has a long history of winemaking dating back to Roman times and a culture that values tradition and meticulous craftsmanship.
Wow.
All of this contributes to the prestige and reputation of Piedmontese wines like Barbaresco.
All right. We've covered 2 iconic wines so far. But there's a third on our list that caught my eye because it comes from a region I'm less familiar with. Friuli Venezia Giulia.
Okay.
And this one, German Dreams, sounds like a total wild card.
Oh, yeah.
A blend of Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and a touch of Picolet.
Hmm.
Now, I've had my fair share of Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc,
Right.
but Picolet, what's the story there?
Picolet is a rare indigenous grape from Friuli,
Interesting.
It was almost extinct a century ago, but has been revived by passionate winemakers.
Wow.
It's known for producing incredibly rich honeyed wines with a distinct floral character.
Okay.
In Dream and Dreams, it's used as a supporting player, adding a touch of sweetness and complexity to the blend of Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc.
That's fascinating. It's like a little piece of history in a bottle. What kind of flavor profile are we talking about here? What makes this wine stand out from a typical Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc?
Well, German Dreams defies expectations. Instead of the typical citrus and green apple notes you might find in a Sauvignon Blanc or the buttery, oaky flavors often associated with Chardonnay, this wine offers a mesmerizing harmony of honey, white flowers, ripe pear,
Wow.
and a touch of spice. It's both elegant and unexpected, showcasing the unique terroir of Friuli and the winemaker's commitment to pushing boundaries.
And didn't you mention something about the name Dreams having a special significance?
You're right. The wine is named in honor of the owner's daughter, making it more than just a bottle of wine. It's
Oh.
a tribute, a testament to the passion
Yeah.
and personal stories that often intertwine with the world of winemaking.
That adds such a beautiful layer to the experience, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like you're tasting not just grapes and terroir,
Yeah,
but also a piece of someone's heart and history.
exactly. And speaking of pushing boundaries, let's move on to another wine from Friuli that's known for its unconventional approach, Radikon Oslavia.
Ooh, I've heard whispers about this one. It's a natural wine, right?
Yeah.
And something of skin contact.
You're on the right track.
Right.
Radikon Oslavia is a prime example of Italian winemaking innovation. It's a natural wine, meaning it's made with minimal intervention,
Okay.
and it's also a skin contact wine,
Okay.
which significantly impacts its color, flavor, and texture.
Okay. Break it down for me. Skin contact, what's going on there, and how does it affect the taste?
Well, skin contact, also known as orange wine, involves leaving the grape skins in contact with the juice for an
Okay.
extended period during fermentation. White wines are typically made by separating the juice from the skins right away.
Right.
But with skin contact, the skins, which contain tannins and pigments,
Yeah.
leach into the juice, giving the wine a deeper color, ranging from golden yellow to amber or even a vibrant orange.
So we're not talking about a light, crisp white wine here, are we?
Yeah.
What kind of flavors can I expect from a wine like this?
Prepare for an adventure. Radikon Oslavia is a symphony of unexpected flavors. Think dried apricots, orange peel, beeswax, ginger, and a hint of hazelnut. It's a wine that challenges your preconceived notions of what white wine should taste like.
Now that sounds like a serious departure from the Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc I'm used to.
Well,
What makes a winemaker decide to go down this less traveled path?
Radikon, the producer, is renowned for his minimalist approach to winemaking.
Okay.
He believes in allowing the grapes and the terroir to speak for themselves, intervening as little as possible. Skin contact is an ancient technique that enhances the expression of terroir, giving the wine a distinctive character that reflects the specific place where the grapes were grown.
So it's a way of capturing the essence of Friuli in a bottle, but with a modern twist.
Precisely. And this brings us back to the concept of terroir, which we touched on earlier. It's not just about the soil and climate.
Right.
It's also about the winemaker's philosophy,
Yeah.
their interpretation of the land, and their willingness to experiment and push boundaries.
I'm getting the sense that Italian winemakers aren't afraid to challenge conventions and embrace new approaches. It's like they're honoring tradition while simultaneously forging their own path.
You've hit the nail on the head, and
Yeah.
that's what makes exploring Italian wine so exciting.
Yeah.
There's a sense of discovery, a constant unveiling of new flavors, styles, and stories.
Before we move on, I have to ask, with a wine as bold and unconventional as this Radikon Oslavia, what on earth do you pair it with?
That's the beauty of it. It's incredibly versatile. The tannins and complex flavors allow it to stand up to dishes that you wouldn't typically pair with white wine. Think Moroccan tagines, spicy curries, even grilled meats.
I love that. Breaking the rules, expanding the possibilities.
Exactly. And that's what we're all about on the deep dive, exploring those uncharted territories
Yeah.
and discovering the hidden gems that await.
So we've covered 4 very different wines so far, each with its own story to tell. What's standing out to you the most? What are you most curious to try?
It's hard to choose. I'm particularly intrigued by the contrast between the classic elegance of the Gaggia Barbaresco
Yeah.
and the bold unconventionality of the Radikon Oslavia. They represent two ends of the spectrum of Italian winemaking,
Right.
yet both are deeply rooted in a sense of place and tradition.
And that's what makes Italian wine so fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah,
The diversity, the depth,
it is.
the constant interplay of tradition and innovation.
It
It's a
is.
journey of discovery, and we've only just begun.
Indeed. We'll delve deeper into these wines and explore what they reveal about the larger world of Italian winemaking in part 2 of our deep dive. Until then, cheers to your own explorations.
Cheers.
Welcome back to our exploration of Italian
Yeah,
wines.
very.
We've already covered some fascinating ground, from the balanced beauty of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo to the complex character of Nebbiolo in the Gaggia Barbaresco.
And let's not forget that intriguing blend, German Dreams, with its touch of the almost forgotten picolet grape.
Right?
It's amazing how a single bottle can hold so much history and personality.
It truly is, and that's what we'll be delving into further today. The stories behind these wines, the choices made by the winemakers, and how those choices reflect the unique characteristics of their respective regions. Let's revisit the Radicon Aslavia, the skin contact wine from Friuli.
Yes.
I'm curious to learn more about the specifics of this winemaking technique. How long are we talking about when it comes to skin contact? Days? Weeks?
That's a great question. I imagine it must have a huge impact on the final product. And while we're on the topic of Radicon,
Yeah.
I'm really drawn to the winemaker's philosophy of minimal intervention.
Oh,
It seems almost counterintuitive in a world where we're used to technology and control.
you've hit upon a key point in the world of natural winemaking.
Yeah.
For Radicon and many other natural wine producers, it's about respecting the natural processes of fermentation and allowing the grapes to express themselves with minimal interference.
Interesting.
In the case of Aslavia, skin contact can last for several months,
Wow.
sometimes even up to a year. The duration depends on various factors, including the grape variety, the ripeness of the grapes, and the winemaker's desired outcome.
Months. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around how that transforms the wine. We talked about the color change, but what about the tannins? Don't white wines typically have very low tannins?
You're right. White wines generally have much lower tannin levels compared to reds.
Right.
However, extended skin contact in white winemaking extracts tannins from the grape skins, adding structure, complexity, and ageability to the wine.
Interesting.
These tannins are different from the bolder, astringent tannins found in red wines. They tend to be more refined, contributing a textural element and a subtle bitterness that adds depth to the flavor profile.
So it's not just about creating a bolder flavor. It's about adding layers, nuances that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Exactly, and that's where the art of winemaking comes in. It's about understanding the delicate balance between the science of fermentation and the intuition of the winemaker.
You mentioned that the length of skin contact varies depending on the grape variety, right? Does that mean certain grapes are better suited for this technique than others? And why choose a blend like Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Picolet for skin contact? Wouldn't that create a chaotic mix of flavors?
That's where the winemaker's expertise and understanding of the grapes come into play.
Yeah.
Some varieties, like Ribolla Gialla and Pinot Grigio, are known to respond particularly well to skin contact, developing intriguing aromas and textures.
Interesting.
In the case of German Dreams, the blend of Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Picolet is carefully orchestrated to create a harmonious whole. Each grape contributes its own unique characteristics to the blend, and the extended skin contact adds another layer of complexity, weaving the flavors together into a cohesive tapestry.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act.
It is.
And speaking of balance, let's shift gears for a moment and revisit the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo.
Okay.
We talked about its balance in terms of acidity and tannins, but what role does the Abruzzo region itself play in shaping this characteristic?
Terroir is paramount here. Remember, terroir encompasses not just the soil and climate, but also the human element, the traditions, the winemaking practices passed down through generations. In Abruzzo, the vineyards often benefit from both the influence of the Apennine Mountains and the Adriatic Sea.
Okay.
The interplay of warm, sunny days and cool nights, along with the unique soil composition, allows the Montepulciano grape to ripen fully while retaining vibrant acidity.
So we're talking about a region that's perfectly suited for creating wines with that delicious balance we talked about.
Exactly.
It makes me want to learn more about Abruzzo's winemaking history. Have they been producing wines for centuries?
You're absolutely right to draw that connection between history and winemaking.
Yeah.
Abruzzo has a long and rich winemaking tradition dating back to ancient Roman times.
Wow.
The region's unique geography and climate made it a natural hub for viticulture, and over the centuries, the people of Abruzzo developed a deep understanding of their land and the art of winemaking. It's this legacy that shines through in wines like the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo we discussed earlier, a testament to the region's dedication to quality and its connection to its roots.
It's amazing how a single glass of wine can transport you to another time and place.
It is.
You can almost taste the history, the passion, the generations of winemakers who came before.
And that sense of history is interwoven with innovation.
Right.
Think about the Gaggia Barbaresco, a wine that embodies the prestigious reputation of Piedmont. While rooted in tradition, Gaggia is also known for pushing boundaries,
Okay.
experimenting with modern techniques while still respecting the integrity of the Nebbiolo grape and the terroir.
I'm curious, what kind of modern techniques are we talking about? And how do they balance those with tradition? Isn't there a risk of losing something essential when you start tinkering with time-honored methods?
It's a delicate dance, for sure. Gaggia has introduced innovations like meticulous vineyard management, temperature-controlled fermentation, and the use of French oak barrels for aging, all of which contribute to the wine's complexity and elegance. However, these modern techniques are employed with a deep respect for the traditional values of Piedmontese winemaking. The focus remains on showcasing the unique character of the Nebbiolo grape and expressing the essence of the Barbaresco terroir.
Right.
It's about enhancing, not overshadowing, the inherent qualities of the wine.
It's like taking a classic masterpiece and adding a few brushstrokes to enhance its beauty without altering its fundamental essence.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of Italian winemaking. It's a constant evolution, a dialogue between tradition and innovation, a striving for excellence while remaining deeply connected to the land and its history.
It's inspiring to see how these winemakers are constantly pushing the boundaries, yet always with a deep respect for the past.
Yes.
It makes you wonder, what does the future hold for Italian wine? What new discoveries await us?
That's the exciting part. The journey continues. Italian winemakers are known for their passion, their creativity, and their willingness to embrace new ideas. I have no doubt they'll continue to surprise and delight us with their wines, showcasing the incredible diversity and potential of Italian viticulture.
I'm ready for the next chapter in this adventure. But before we move on, I want to touch upon something we mentioned earlier, the idea that these wines can transport us, evoke a sense of place. I'm curious, what kind of experience do you hope to evoke in someone who's tasting, say, the Radicano for the first time?
With a wine like Radicano, I'd hope to spark a sense of curiosity,
Okay.
an appreciation for the unexpected. It's a wine that challenges preconceived notions of what white wine can be.
Right.
It's a taste of a different approach, a glimpse into the world of natural winemaking, and the expression of a unique terroir. I want the drinker to pause, to reflect, and to appreciate the journey that this wine represents, from the vineyard to the bottle to their glass.
And for someone who's perhaps intimidated by the world of Italian wine, what advice would you give them as they embark on their own explorations?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Start with a region that interests you. Explore different grape varieties.
Yeah, and most importantly, trust your palate. There's an Italian wine out there for everyone waiting to be discovered.
That's such great advice. And I think that spirit of exploration is what the deep dive is all about.
It is.
Encouraging our listeners to delve deeper, to ask questions, and to find those hidden gems that resonate with them.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah,
I want to remind our listeners that the journey doesn't end here.
right.
There's so much more to uncover, so many more stories to tell.
I can't wait to see where this exploration takes us next. Welcome back to the deep dive.
You know, it feels like we've been on this incredible journey through Italian winemaking,
It has been.
and I'm not quite ready for it to end.
I agree. It's been a fascinating exploration, and we've only just scratched the surface of
Yeah.
what makes Italian wine so captivating.
Before we wrap things up, I want to revisit this idea of terroir that we keep coming back to. It's one of those words that gets thrown around a lot in the wine world, but
Yeah.
it can be kind of hard to grasp.
Yeah, you're right. Terroir is a multifaceted concept.
It is.
It's often described as the taste of place, but it goes beyond just the physical environment.
Okay.
It's the culmination of everything that influences the character of the wine,
Mhm.
the soil, the climate, the altitude, the grape varietals, and even the human element,
Right.
the traditions and practices of the people who cultivate the land and make the wine.
Okay, so it's not just about what's in the bottle.
Right.
It's about the whole story,
It is.
the whole ecosystem that went into creating that bottle.
Exactly, and that's what makes Italian wines so compelling.
Yeah.
Each region, each vineyard has its own unique terroir, its own fingerprint that's reflected in the wines.
I love that analogy of fingerprint.
Yeah.
It makes terroir feel so much more tangible.
Mm,
Can you give us an example of how terroir comes to life in one of the wines we've discussed?
sure. Take the Gaggia Barbaresco, for instance.
Okay.
We talked about the Nebbiolo grape and its role in the wine's complex flavor profile.
Yeah.
But Nebbiolo grown in Barbaresco, a specific commune within Piedmont,
Mm-hmm.
will exhibit different characteristics than Nebbiolo grown, say, in a neighboring commune like Barolo.
So even within a single region, there can be these subtle but significant variations
Exactly.
based on very localized terroir.
Precisely. Barbaresco's terroir is characterized by its unique combination of soil types, primarily calcareous marl and sandstone,
Okay.
along with its slightly warmer climate and lower elevation compared to Barolo.
Hmm.
This results in Barbaresco wines that are often described as being more elegant and approachable than their Barolo counterparts, with slightly softer tannins and a more floral character.
That's incredible. It makes you realize that every sip of wine is like a little window into a very specific place.
And that's just one example.
Right.
We could talk about the volcanic soils of Mount Etna in Sicily, the coastal influences on the wines of Liguria, or the alpine terroir of Alto Adige. Each region has its own story to tell,
Yeah.
its own expression of terroir that makes Italian wine so diverse and fascinating.
I feel like we could do a whole deep dive just on terroir alone.
We can.
But for now, as we wrap up our exploration of these incredible Italian wines, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I want them to approach Italian wine with a sense of curiosity and adventure.
Okay.
Don't be intimidated by the vast selection or the unfamiliar names.
Mhm.
Embrace the diversity, explore different regions, try new grape varietals, and most importantly, trust your own taste buds.
I love that. It's about the journey, not just the destination.
Exacts.
And who knows, maybe you'll even stumble upon a hidden gem that becomes your new go-to bottle.
I hope so. And if you do, we want to hear about it.
Yes.
Share your discoveries with us.